Altogether, I can't believe the special stories that have been made up about our relationship to the universe at large. And look at what's out there. How can it isn't in proportion?
Deconverted Man here, and today I'm going to be looking at a video uploaded by FindingTruthToday, who also maintains a website by the same name. This video asks several questions. Questions like statements may contain premises, and as such may also contain fallacies. It's time to begin the analysis. Here we go. Question 1. Why does the universe show any order at all? This is a loaded question. The question is loaded because it has the word order in it. The answer becomes impossible to give due to the nature of the question as stated. A very strong parallel can be drawn between the arguments against biological evolution and its order, complexity, or design, and this question phrased as it is. Often those who argue against biological evolution, or at least beg the question of a designer when talking about biological evolution, will employ very similar wording as the question here. We know for a fact in biological evolution that what we see is not design, but has the appearance of design. We see a complex structure and it looks designed, but knowing how biological evolution and natural selection work, we can instead say it's merely the appearance of design. Here we have the universe that might appear to have order. As the parallel above suggests, we already have one example where a similar argument has been raised and failed due to what we already know in science. With the universe, however, we may have more gaps of knowledge and many more mysteries yet to be unraveled. The order may simply be an appearance of order. There might not be, in fact, any order at all, and to suggest that there is order at this time without any data or support is loading the question. Question 2. Why does it display any order at all? In particular, why would it obey natural laws? Equivocation and a loaded question. Again, the word order is not yet warranted as no data has been presented to suggest that there is order. Laws here in natural laws is equivocated with the sort of laws we have in society, and this simply is not the case. The universe has no mind to disobey the way that it works. The laws are not laws, they're governing forces. The universe cannot disobey the laws as they are not forces that are breakable, unlike laws in our society that are. Clearly, this is equivocation. Question 3. But if there is no God, how do atheists account for the existence of natural laws? This is a straw man. Atheists do not account for such things. Since atheism is a statement of disbelief in God and nothing more or less, atheists are free to account for the natural laws with any idea they wish, as long as that idea is not God, since they don't believe in such a thing as God, and to suggest God would mean that they were no longer an atheist. But atheists do not have to account for anything, nor do they have to offer an explanation of why things are the way they are. However, if they do want to account for things, often they'll turn to science for answers. A good answer would be, I don't know why there are natural laws. Simply because somebody cannot give an answer does not mean there is no answer, and it does not mean that your answer is the right answer. Question 4. What forces laws of nature to be consistent, non-changing? Begging the question. Here we have a big question where forces the law is inserted, suggesting that the answer is that something is forcing the laws of nature. Question 5. Why is it that we assume the laws of nature do not change? If we do assume this, it is because we've seen that they are consistent in the past. We assume that they will stay consistent. However, we could be wrong. Tomorrow they might all alter. Although all we know so far suggests this is highly unlikely to happen. The forces of nature are testable and consistent as far as we have observed from when we have started observing them. It is reasonable to conclude they will stay this way. We could be wrong. Tomorrow could prove us all wrong. And we have to be open to that possibility, and science allows for the idea that we can be wrong. But everything we know so far suggests that we aren't wrong, and thus I think we're safe to assume that the laws of nature are consistent and unchanging. Question 6. But if there is no God, how do atheists account for the existence of non-changing natural laws? This is a straw man. Again, atheists do not account for such things, as an atheist is merely a description of non-belief in God or gods. As such, the atheist could, if they wanted, account for such things by anything else they saw fit to, or simply not account for them at all. Well, that was a quick video, but let's tally up the logical... What do you mean there's more questions? But the video said 6 questions. Already answered? Oh, there's more? Okay. I suppose I have to add the logical fallacy of outright lie, as the title of the video is an outright lie. Let's continue the logical analysis. Here we go. Question 7. What are the physical reasons natural laws exist? Does not follow. I'm not sure that natural laws exit or enter at any given time. No, sorry. I think that the question here is meant to say exist. Well, I myself misspell things from time to time, although I would expect a bit more from a scientist and an official website, but I assume that this means exist and not exit. I could be wrong. Alright, let's try to redo this again. Question 7. What are the physical reasons natural laws exist? I personally have no idea. My expertise is informal logic, not physics. I personally would ask a physicist such a question. Question 8. But if there is no God, how do atheists account for the existence of natural laws? Straw man. Okay, so remember that time when I said that atheists do not account for such things back in number 6? If not, rewind to that answer, because this answer is that one. Question 9. What is the basis for logical and mathematical laws in a secular universe? The basis of the rules and/or laws of logic are made by the human brain. We made them up. We invented them. We saw that they could produce results and tested them to be sure that they were correct. And we continually update logic with new ideas and get rid of old ideas that do not work. The basis and/or rules of mathematics are made by the human brain. We see that they produce results and can be compared to real things or principles. We can apply them to abstract ideas and principles as well, and we can test the results and see that it works and functions. If we found an idea in mathematics that did not work or does not work, we could get rid of it, and if we find a new idea for mathematics, we would add it in, no pun intended, into the system. Question 10. How can you have invariant, immaterial, universal entities like laws of logic and laws of mathematics in a materialistic universe? Again, this is equivocation. Laws is not the sort of laws that we have in society. The better word to use here would be rules. There's rules of logic and rules of mathematics. We can change both of those systems. As bizarre as that idea might seem, it's true. Both in logic and in mathematics, if we found something that did not work, it did not produce results, we would get rid of it. And if we found something new that could be added and worked in the system because the conclusions and the results were testable and knowable and provable, we would add them in. In fact, we are discussing a couple new logical fallacies that might be added into the realm of informal logics, and we're discussing whether or not we should take out a rule of informal logic. And this is an ongoing process. Now, mathematics and logic both are slow to change. Unlike other sciences that might be quicker to change because we find more data on them and there's more research being done, math is pretty much ironed out, and so is logic to some extent. Those things are pretty concrete. That doesn't mean that they're never going to change or they could not change, and there's no lawgiver or rule giver other than the human brain itself. If you want to say, and I suppose that this is asking us to say, that there's this metaphysical realm that has to exist in order for these things to make sense, you've already begged the question that such a realm exists. We know that our brains produce these ideas. For a fact, we know that. We know that humans came up with these ideas in the past and we've ironed them out all the way up to the present, and we'll continue to iron them out as time goes on. We know that for a fact. We do not know that there's something more than the human brain out there. And that's what this question is begging for us to include into it, is this metaphysical realm that's not yet been proven or demonstrated to exist, must exist in order for these ideas that we came up with to mean anything. It's not a true idea because the data is not there to support it, the argument fails for it, and the logic just isn't there. The answer is that we have these entities because we invented these entities with our brains. This is nothing more than equivocation. Question 11. But if there's no God, how do atheists account for the existence of logical and mathematical laws? Hey, remember back in question 8 when I told you to look at the other answer? You do? Great! Same answer as that one. And if you don't remember, then go rewind to 8, do whatever it says. And again, we also have equivocation here, as laws is suggested to mean something more than what it should mean. Question 12. Why are there numbers? Because humans invented them. Question 13. But if there's no God, how do atheists account for the existence of numbers? Hey, remember that time when I said the thing for question 10? Yeah, just pretend I did that again. And if you don't remember, then man, you have a really bad memory. Anyways, straw man, equivocation, moving on. Question 14. How can you assume that the laws of nature will continue to operate tomorrow as they have in the past? I think that my answer for number 5 covers this pretty well, so just refer back to number 5. That's my answer for this one. Essentially, we observe that this is the way things are, and thus we extrapolate that things will continue to be this way because of our observations. Question 16. How can we assume anything about a future that no one has yet experienced? We do so based on prior data we've collected and fact gathering. We can project and predict with science, and those projections will be shown to be true and confirm that the realm of science can do something that your realm cannot do: predict the future accurately and without ambiguity. Science can also give close approximations of weather patterns, birth and death rates, and a vast array of other things. Science has proven track record in making predictions about the future. As long as things do not suddenly change, and we have really no good reason to think that they will, we can trust science, and it's given us results time and time again, unlike, say, religion that's making predictions that are vague, unreliable, does not continue to make predictions in today's day and age, and cannot give us any data to test repeatedly. Science can do this. Your religion cannot. We can know that certain things within a certain realm that science can test will be certain ways in the future with a reasonable degree of certainty. We don't have anything like that when we look to religion. Now, those two things are in conflict. They really, really are. Science makes accurate predictions and says accurate things about reality. Religion doesn't. One of them is right and one of them is wrong. Science seems to be right. Religion often seems to be wrong. Question 16. But if there's no God, how do atheists account for the blah 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 blah? Mr. Strawman, now with Kung Fu Grip! Question 17. When it comes to issues of how the universe operates, why is it that the future reflects the past? The answer here is that's just the way it is. I don't know why that is the way it is. I personally would ask a cosmologist this sort of question and listen or read or both what they have to say on that subject. But again, even if I personally cannot provide an answer or have no answer, does not mean that your answer is the right answer. So we have a bit of a tangent here because I have to point out the straw man that is created by Jason, who is appealing to self-authority, I think, by saying that he is a PhD in astrophysics. I could be wrong, but I'm still going to say that this is very much an appeal to authority because I think we're meant to believe that because it's coming from an astrophysicist, it has more weight than if it wasn't. But at any rate, the straw man here is that we might say, quote, and then there's a bunch of things that we might say as the answer, and then, quote, and then that is circular reasoning, and circular reasoning is illogical, so we should be skeptical of the conclusion. Well, I agree, circular reasoning is illogical, but you can't tell somebody what they're going to say as if that is what they have said, and then conclude that that's the argument that they've presented. Doing so is a straw man. As such, I ironically must be skeptical of your conclusion rather than the other way around. Today's total: 16 logical fallacies and 17 questions. Before I summarize, I don't have any questions for this person, but I do have a challenge. I would like Jason, the PhD in astrophysics, to provide a scientifically peer-reviewed published paper about the biblical God and how it answers all of these questions or answers anything at all. Until he's met that challenge, all I can go on is this particular presentation, which has a number of logical fallacies in it. Questions, as I said, contain premises, and the premises may or may not contain logical fallacies. Some of the questions did not, and some of the questions did. Because some of the questions did, I have to be skeptical of the conclusions that are written by the author in response to these questions. The conclusions are written as if the questions are not logically flawed, and I have to be skeptical of that because the questions are flawed. Unless or until the person can provide us with a logically coherent set of questions for us to answer, we must be skeptical of the answers provided by the person who asked those questions.